Hey everybody, how's it? Aloha, this is Geebz here, your old composer here, decomposing before your very eyes, literally and figuratively. I am doing a song suggested to me by Patreon member Disembodied Hand. Now, I have a lot of folks that come on Patreon and stuff that I'm so grateful for, but a lot of times they just use these profile nicks and I don't know their first name. So I'm just going to call them by the profile names that they put down there. And the song is Stripped by the band Neurosis. So I want to thank you for that suggestion. So let's do this. I look forward to this. The journey on Patreon and all the suggestions and all the advice too has been so cool. Helping me guiding my programming and stuff on the channel has been just so priceless. Really it has. Because it really means something to me when the Patreon members come and hang out. So, okay, all that being said, blah, blah, blah. As my granddaughter likes to say, it's almost Halloween, yeah? So there's that Dracula cartoon. Oh, I'm sorry, I just meander off. That's just... Oh my God, drugs are bad. Anyhow, so here we go. This is Neurosis, Stripped. All right. Okay, I'm sorry. I'm going to get back to that, but that was one of the most badass little breaks in a metal track I've ever heard in my life. That was so cool. It caught me off guard going into some kind of like, I don't know, that could have been kind of like, I'm not even going to try to say what kind of chant or that was, but just to me, I just thought all of a sudden of like Friar Tuck and a bunch of monks. I want to start with that opening sound of the guitars. Now, I was listening to it really closely, and I couldn't tell if it was a steel string acoustic or a lot of these musicians that have really great guitars have a system called, I think it's called piezo or something like that. I don't know, obviously. Where there's a setting, these really expensive great guitars that, you know, they're still powerful, crunchy guitars and stuff, but they can kick a switch and there's an output. Sometimes there could be a 3/4 inch output or another output that specifically feeds a really super clean, delicate sound. Not to try to emulate, let's say, an acoustic or steel acoustic, but have its unique sound. And then maybe another signal, you know, coming out and, you know, triggering something else to get that really super cool kind of pattern that kind of already sets you off and kind of, and I don't want to say demonic, but in this really heavy, intense kind of vibe. Is as cool as that picking was, and mellow and laid back, right? No power, no crunch. It really was starting to send a message like this is going to be something that's going to pull at you in kind of a heavier space in here. And then there was, once the power came in, there's that note that the one of the guitar players, if there's multiple, since I don't know how many people are in the band or if it was an overdub, but there was that guitar part where it was that note just kind of hanging out there, and it kind of felt like, you know, somebody's sawing in the back of your head, kind of an energy and vibe. And then of course we haven't gotten into any lyrics yet, but just this whole, and then twice they kind of turned around two sections. And even though they added some vocals into there, it didn't seem like they really got into a lyrical place yet. But I'm only a minute and a half into an 8-minute track. But I just needed to stop after that kind of chanty kind of break there. I'll bring it back a little bit and let's keep going. Okay, so that was definitely an acoustic guitar, and wow, what such unique breaks here in their production and their composition. Of course, you saw me just kind of get lit, like kind of like what on the first break, because there's the little flute nuance that we heard going on in there. It started here, kind of panned off to the side, and a little bit of violin and stuff. It sounds like these guys in their story in this song. Remember, this was the first time that I've ever heard of the band, and obviously the song. So it's a very new experience for me. And these guys are very articulate in their desire to want to really take you through a journey instrumentally. You know, I'm listening, I'm kind of catching some of the words of what the vocalist is saying, but you know me, I treat the vocalist as an instrument and as a part of the overall context of the mix of the band and how it sounds and the energy, because heck, this same track could be done by, I don't know, Mariah Carey. I mean, and just hang in there with me on this. And it would completely change that energy. You kind of understand what I'm saying? So even if I didn't understand the words, if it was a beautiful operatic voice behind there would be a different, a nuanced element to the context of it, and I wouldn't be getting the same vibe from it as obviously what is being performed here. Just thought I'd throw that out there for clarification. But these breaks and these stop-starts and taking the energy up and down, and it's all instrumental, is very unique. And I really super dig it. I don't, this is the first time I'm hearing of this band, so I don't know what the discography is or the history is. But Disembodied Hand, thank you so much for turning me on to this. We'll continue on, so stand by. Here we go. Okay, this stop is only for one reason and one reason only. Wow, that bass. The bass player here, you guys have heard me talk about this, and I will continue for as long as I have this channel or putting out videos like this. You know, the bass player, a lot of times, just in the public, I think in the more of the public arena, I think musicians in general and stuff, you know, we understand the importance of everybody in a band or an orchestra and stuff. But I think we can probably agree that the bass player gets probably a little less of the love, if you would, in the glam. And to me, is probably one of the most powerful and most important parts of a band, because it gives it, not only does it give it support in a tonal range for us, you know, from, I always say from beetle fart to dog whistle, but in the tone range of 0 to, I think we kind of tap out here over 16K or something. But the EQ, you know, the EQing that we all mess around with and stuff like that. Without that bottom, a lot of what we hear would sound so bland, and it's just something that just gets missed in the glory of a lot of things when it comes to talking about bands, I believe. One of the great things about this bass that I'm hearing here, not only is the tone really super cool, I really try to focus on the tone. There's so many unique tones that bass players use, and different, you know, whether it's distorted, overdriven, phase shifters, you know, choruses, fretless basses with flanges, depending on what they're trying to achieve. The most important thing that I'm hearing in this is that there's a lot of parts of the passage where it's just da da da. And listen to what the bass is doing. The bass is cooking behind it. I'm not cooking like he's going overboard and slapping and getting all, you know, mental, but listen to that bass work. That bass work is phenomenal. It really is. And when I say phenomenal, it is. Sometimes, you know, sometimes when I express that, or I hear people express to me like, it's the best player, it's the best line ever. Oh, I guarantee you that this bass player could probably do 15 different things during those sections. It's playing the right one in that section. You know, as far as lines, or maybe I play it this way and stuff. And that is probably the most difficult part of composition and arranging, even for myself. And I'll explain to you some of that when I do bass on my riff thing that I'm getting ready to do to share with you guys. Is like, which one do you go for? This line works, but does it change the context, and does it bend, or is it too much work, or is it taking away, and is it drawing too much of attention? You know, where is it living in the mix, and how appropriate will it be as a body of work, as an addition to a body of work, you know? So anyhow, that was a long stop, but that's what I do now. All right, let's go back a little bit. All right, I didn't, when I just snickered there, I wasn't laughing, obviously, at that piece as a humorous thing. It was just such a great way to end that track. This last passage, what I want to bring up is now that I listened to it a little closer, you know, and my ears kind of adjusted to waking up, number one, and then I just got out of the water from going surfing. If you check my Instagram, I just posted a little video about that. It's kind of funny. So, you know, getting some of the water out of my head and stuff. The guitar it does sound like it's, you know, it's a steel string acoustic guitar that's being played, and then doubled with a clean, or the secondary guitar is just a clean, you know, clean driven, probably amp or something, or who knows, it could have been direct or whatever. I really love how these guys danced around orchestral arrangements in this, whether it's the flute or some of the strings that were in the background, or even if it was hybrid, let's just say it was a little keyboard strings, but they had a violin player on top of it. I used to do that in the 90s when I'd be working on jobs that don't have enough money for a full string section. But I'd write composition on strings, you know, on a module. Back in the day, it was a Kurzweil or something. And then you hire 3 or 4 string players just to play over it, just to give it the feeling of it. I don't know if that's what happened there. But as they start building that into it, the other thing I thought was really cool. Did you see me doing this at one point? They were using what sounded to me like an old school orchestral hit on some of these accents, which was great. I saw that as like, my God, these guys took a hold of the toolbox and used everything they possibly could on it. And that requires some pretty sick talent. And that's how I'm going to close this up. This was a great suggestion to me. Thank you so much for that. Great song. And I'm definitely going to continue my journey through Neurosis. So thank you so much, Disembodied Hand, for that suggestion on Patreon. And for those of you who see this on the main channel, thank you very much. If you want to support me, this is a cup of coffee that needs to be filled now and then. If you want to buy me a cup of coffee, because this doesn't monetize the video, then you can do that. The links for everything are down below. Once again, thank you, members of Patreon, and more to come. Aloha. All right.